Hello YouTube, this video will show you what to do if you have a red ringed Xbox 360. You're going to have to get one of the tool kits from Amazon that comes with this 360 opening tool that, as you can see, has these little pins that stick up, and it's got the exact pattern it needs. And then you have that little pin right there. This little pin on the end is for popping off the side panels. You're going to need heatsink grease. You're going to have these Torx screwdrivers. This one in the end has a little bitty dimple in the tip for some of the key. They've got little pins that stick up out of the center of them. And then you're going to have a standard Torx head that's a little bit bigger than the smaller one. There's two of them that you have to have. For the full tool set, I probably paid somewhere around the neighborhood of about $10. Okay, just to show you what you're going to be dealing with, I'm going to go ahead and put this top cover back on this 360. So as you can see, there's the back. Oh yeah. I don't have the front panel on this particular one. If the front panel was on there, it pops off real easy on the sides. Both the side panels aren't on there. We're not going to worry about that. Those are real easy to pop off. To get the side panels off, generally you just take this tool and you're going to stick it into the holes and push the little pegs in, so that way they'll pop and it'll lift right up out of there. Now for this to work, see the two pins right there? Those two pins match those two right there above the power port. Those 5 pins, the 4 together and one way over here, match the 5 holes that run right through here. So all you got to do is line the holes up. Push the tool in until it pushes all those in. Separate the case, and you'll see how the case is starting to separate right there. Do the same thing on the power side. Turn the tool, line up the 2 holes, push in. There it goes. The case will separate, and it'll be like that. Turn it upside down. You're going to want it upside down because when you finally get it completely apart, it's going to lay like that anyway. If you turn it to the front, you see where you have these little spots like this. You'll have to pry every one of those out. Best thing to do is have a flat blade screwdriver or something like that where you can pry those out. And that plastic cover will literally jump right off. Now once you get that plastic cover off, right there's the side where the hard drive goes in. There's your front. That's the memory card sockets. There's your USB ports. Right there's your power button. That's the other side. That's the back. Again, it's laying upside down. You can see the HDMI socket and everything right there. Now if you look real close on the top, you'll see these screws here. Every one of these are the small Torx. Every one of those. There's 8 of them total. Those are what hold the X-clamp down. The long ones through here, which will be this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You got that one there. Inside that dimple right there. It's having a hard time with the autofocus. Right there. inside that dimple right there, this far edge over here. See, there's inside the dimple there on the front. And then this edge right here, all those go all the way through. Those are case screws that hold it down. Okay, we're going to start by removing the X-clamp screws. They can be a little bit of a pain. They, for the most part, are fairly tight. And again, you have 8 of those. Don't worry about keeping track of them. You'll never use them again. Alright, now we're down to that one last little screw left. That'll be it for the black ones. And then we're going to start on all the silver ones. With the silver ones, we'll have to show you the difference in lengths. And you want to make sure that you keep those separated. The long ones, again, go all the way through. They're serious case screws. The others, well, they're just normal screws. We'll back that up just a little bit here. Alright, you can see the 2 screws that I've got loosened up right there. That's the long case screw. Those are the short ones. We're going to take the rest of these out. Okay, and once you get all those screws out, you need to flip the system back over and lift the top off. You're going to have a minor issue with the eject button. You need to remove it first. Once you pull that back, the top plastic piece will lift off, as will the top metal cover. And you're now looking at the inside of an Xbox 360. Well, first you're going to have to lift the DVD drive out. First thing you want to do is lift the DVD drive out. As you can see, there's 2 points right there where the DVD drive plug into the back and down on the motherboard. Then you can pry this piece up, get this plastic piece to pop loose. It pops right out. There, right there, is basically the stripped motherboard. Now, before we can take the motherboard out, we need to go ahead and undo the connections on the board for the DVD drive. Completely remove it and get it out of the way. You'll see that there's a connector right here in the back that the fan plugs in. You want to unplug it. It can be a bit of a pain at times, and sometimes it'll just pop right off. This one wants to be a pain, which isn't too much of a surprise. The whole thing's been a pain. And then the fan, for it to come out, you just lift that back panel up, pull the fan forward, and it pulls right up out of the pins. Back fan's out. Now we have to remove that little front panel. To do so, you just pop that piece off. That's the lights. That was the light cover. And there's 3 screws. One here, here, and here that all have to come out. Okay, once you get all 3 of those little tiny screws removed, turn this where you can see a little better. Just grab that panel, kind of wiggle it, it'll pop right out. You'll see the little connector right there. Plugs. That's the modular plug that plugs into that. This is your wireless and power cord. This controls your wireless controllers. And now with those removed, the motherboard is ready to come out of the case. Just lift up, she pulls out, flip her over and look at the bottom. Right there are the X clamps. Those are what you have to pull off. The best way to get them off is to take a flat blade screwdriver, get it right up underneath the edge, twist, and it'll pop right out. Get all those off, the heat sinks will fall right off of the system. Okay, this part's not super easy, but I'll show you the basics here. Get the screwdriver in there in just the right spot, blam, pops right off. Get the screwdriver in just the right spot, and blam, pops right off. Screwdriver in just the right spot, blam, pops right off, and the last one you can just take it off of. This X clamp right here, absolutely throw it in the trash. It is worthless. That is probably the worst system any developers ever come up with. Okay, now that we have that off, I'll turn this bad boy over. As you can see, these are already loose. They lift right out. You have these little pegs. That's what the X clamps were locked onto. Right there is where the heatsink material was. So you got the pegs. There's the heatsink material. You're going to unscrew every one of these out, because there's going to be replacement screws that go inside of those. Now you want to make sure that you get this surface and those two surfaces right there as absolutely clean as you possibly can. My reason being is that right there is your video processor, and that one there is your main central system processor. So you got video, main system. By the way, if you have to, you can use denatured alcohol to clean those. If you don't have denatured alcohol, I'll show you the next best thing. A lot of people don't recommend this. I've done it for years. Watcha. 91% isopropyl alcohol. There's not enough water in there and it's going to dry it out fast enough. When you order the X clamp replacement kit, it comes with a kit that replaces these pegs right here with screws and washers. There'll be two plastic washers, two metal washers, and the screw. There should be 8 screws. Every one of them will go through those holes from the bottom, screw up into that heatsink, and pull it down. Now whenever you go to put your heatsink grease on, after you've cleaned them and cleaned the surface real well, you just want that heatsink grease to cover the shiny. And you want it to be a fairly thin layer, but you want it to be enough that it totally covers the shiny. And once you get to that point, you'll be alright. And then you're ready to put your heat sinks on. Okay, and once you put your heat sinks on, the board will look like this. I'll show you the bottom side in just a second. Alright, and once you get the board prepped, the X clamp replacement will literally look like that. You'll have the 8 screw heads pointing back. You can see the 2 different washers. Okay, and once you got the board ready, simply lay it back in the same way you took it out. She'll kind of stick up a little bit in the middle because you have those 2 screws, but that's alright, just shove it down. And you can pop this panel back on. There we go. She finally went back in. Fought with me a little bit at first, but she slid back in like a pro. And now it's just exactly reverse of what you did to take it apart to put it back together. Okay, so we're going to secure that front panel. Make sure it don't go anywhere and it's well grounded like it's supposed to be. That bottom screw right there is the one that's going to give you the most trouble. The rest of them will just screw right in. Okay, and at this point, without a fan blowing on it at all, you want to plug it in and let it run for anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes to get hot enough to resolder the board, and it's going to sit there and blink red the whole time. Plug it in like so. Hit that little power button right there. Should power on, and you're going to let it sit just like that for about 15 to 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 to 30 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and turn her off now. Reach back here and unplug it. You don't want to touch either one of those. They are very, very, very hot right now. That one and that one both. They haven't been cooling. You did that to resolder the processor and everything back to the board. So now it's reassemble. So we'll go ahead and put the fan back in. Well, I can feel the heat coming up off of those. Geez, and you're going to want to let them cool. God, I'd say at least let it cool every bit of 20 to 30 minutes. You see this little pin down here on the bottom? There's two little pinholes that it lines up in. And it'll just rock right back and lock into place. That is the cooling fan. They do have fan upgrades that you can buy online. They work very well. I know I've had several of them. And we gotta set this panel back in. Okay, and once you get that panel back in there, it'll look like this. That piece right there in the back must line up with the hole on the motherboard, and it goes all the way through the case. That is one of the case screws that locks all that plastic panel in place. That little slot right there is because that's where another screw goes all the way through. That's where the DVD drive sits. I'm going to get that set in there. And of course, we have the SATA connector that's got to plug into the board. The power connector that's got to plug into the board. And then it just turns, sets right into place. Pop that dude off if it'll let me. There we go. Because it's just going to be in the way at the moment. We'll just let him sit and chill. Okay, now that we've got this 360 pretty well put back together, we're going to set the top on. Set the top on. Now we got to flip it over. There's those two daggone clamps. And you remember those 8 screws that went in right there? Well, there's no longer a screw hole for them, so those 8 will not go back in. All the rest of them, on the other hand, will. So we'll start by dropping in the 6 long screws. Those are the ones that I like to call the case screws because they go all the way through. And then we'll do 3 small back screws. The 2 side screws. And the 4. Something to remember whenever you're tightening down these screws. Don't ever turn it lengthwise like this. You'll over torque them. Leave it where you have the little elbow sticking out. As long as you have the little elbow sticking out on the Torx, you won't be able to over torque the screw. As soon as I get these last 3, it'll be snap on the bottom, pop the 2 side panels on, and this dude will be together and ready to rock and roll. And we'll also be able to test it and make sure that the red ring hasn't went away. Alright, the ending result will look like this. We're going to have to put this little button back on, so this little guy right here is really easy. Just make sure the hole's lined up. Look, it lines up nice and pretty. And you just grab the top plate, set it on, snap it right into place, spin it around. Make sure the back lined up. You might have to push in on it just a little bit. Once you hear that, she snapped together. Now you have this side panel. Turn her sideways here. This side panel, the hole lines up. It'll only go in one way. That's popped in. This particular one has a drive bay cover or lid. Since I don't have a hard drive on it right at the moment, we'll just go ahead and snap that on there. Then we'll spin it around to this side. See this little notch right here? That notch goes to the front. That is the pry notch to be able to pull it off, and it is hidden by the front cover, which I don't currently have right now. Now for the real test, hook it up, turn it on. So, we'll do just that right now. Get this guy set up here. Grab the power cord. Plug it into the console. Set the console up right in front of the camera. Okay, now that we have the 360 put back together, the real test of fate is, does she power on without red ringing? And she does. Fixed, ready to rock and roll. And the system cannot red ring again with the X-clamp replacement in place on the older style 360s. This video is out there for absolutely everybody, and as always, watch, like, and share. Have a great day.